Welcome to the Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. I'm sure you've heard the phrase before. People in addiction take recovery one day, sometimes 1 hour at a time. This means that 24 hours in the life of a person in recovery from addiction, well, it can mean everything. It can mean one more day of sobriety or one less day of sobriety. And then the clock to recovery begins all over again. Today, we're talking about an event that is going to sound a little bit crazy so close to Christmas, the 6th annual Oakwood 24. It's a 24-hour walk-run to raise money for healing transitions. It begins on December 22nd and extends into December 23rd. Healing Transitions is an organization in Raleigh that offers a long-term recovery program to anyone, no matter what their means. To quote from their mission, quote, "We're all about freedom, dignity, and hope. We make it our mission to see the potential in each person, even when they are at their lowest point. Everyone needs a glimpse of hope to believe life can get better." Joining me today is Jon Frey, the founder of the event. He's an ultra runner, which means he can run a really, really, really long way. Jon, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate you having me on today.
So the journey to this event starts with your personal story. You were a client at Healing Transitions in 2016. Tell me how you got there.
Yeah, so back in 2016, I was at that point in my life that people describe as a jumping off point where I was either going to continue using alcohol and drugs until I died, or I was going to get help. And, there were only two options at that point in my life, why they call it the jumping off point. And, alcohol and drugs, what used to help me no longer did it for me again, did it for me anymore. So it was like I didn't have a whole lot of options in life. Alcoholism, as you know, is a progressive disease. So I had started drinking early in life, in high school, messing around with light drugs and things like that. And it just progressed over my life through college, several jobs outside of college, but things just began to go downhill. And at this point in 2016, I'd gotten to a point where I didn't have a job. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have money. I drank all that stuff out of my life. And I kept winding up in different detox centers, Wake Brook, hospitals, things like that, and just continuously waking up like, how did I get here, this kind of thing.
And then you finally got to Healing Transitions, which was a turning point for you, correct?
It was, yeah. It was a complete turning point. That was, I'd been putting it off for years. I knew I had an issue with alcohol. I knew I had an issue with drugs. It was always this thing in the future, like I'm going to get to this point in my life and get better. It's always, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And that never ended up happening. So it was that day in 2016 when I got dropped off there, I finally made the decision of, enough is enough. I need to get some help. I'm going to stay here for a few weeks and see how this goes.
So a big part of your path to recovery has been fitness. And I know that's why we're here today, because we're talking about the Oakwood 24. How has fitness played a role in your recovery?
Well, initially when I was going through the Healing Transitions program and I first got sober, I had all this, extra energy. I'd been kind of sedated for years from alcohol and different things, and I just needed to get out there and move and sweat and do things like that. So during our free time during the day, I would run, exercise, and also got introduced to a fitness fellowship down there called F3, which has been a huge part of my recovery, as well as starting a run club down there called Oak City Recovery Run Club, and just got into fitness from there. I always use it as a big icebreaker point. Like, it's for people in recovery, it's hard to get somebody to talk to you just sitting across the table from someone. It's much easier if you go for a walk with them, go for a jog with them, go lift weights with them, that kind of thing. It really opens people up, gets the blood moving, and it's just much easier to communicate.
Well, we will talk more after the break. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We are talking to the founder of the Oakwood 24, which is a fundraiser for Healing Transitions. So how long were you at Healing Transitions?
I was at Healing Transitions for right at a year.
And so you came out and you continued your recovery, but again, making fitness a big part of it.
Yeah, I did. So I met a couple mentors at Healing Transitions, a guy named Charlie Engel that got me into doing these long distance running events. And I actually went down to Clinton, North Carolina, and ran a 24-hour event down there called the El Zorro 24. And they were raising funds for a local high school program there. And that's what kind of gave me the idea to start the Oakwood 24.
And what did everybody think when you first said, let's do a 24-hour walk-run fundraiser? Were they like, what? That's a lot.
Yeah, so everybody was a little weary back then, I guess you would say. And that's kind of what it got it started. You know, it was mainly supported by the men of F3 that year. And we did a little contest of like, how far do you think I can run during this thing? So most of the donations that year came in like, I'll give you $1 per mile, I'll give you $5 per mile, that kind of thing. So it was really fun to go out there and see what I could do in 24 hours.
So who participates in this event?
So the Oakwood 24 is completely family friendly. It's a one day of the year you can take your dog to Oakwood Cemetery. So anybody can come out. We have competitive ultra runners like myself that do a 24-hour challenge to see how far you can run in 24 hours. We also have some relays going on this year if you wanted to get on a team and run a 12-hour relay. But it's also open to anyone who wants to just come walk. They can bike. You can come hang out. We have a bonfire, food. It's really kind of like a party out there. So it doesn't matter what you want to do. You can come out and participate in some manner.
And I think your point about talking about recovery is a lot easier when you're running or working out. And there are a lot of people in the program who participate in this event or graduates of the program.
Yeah, we have a lot of alumni that come back. We have a lot of people in different recovery clubs, different recovery outlets all over Raleigh that come out and support this thing. And I always tell people, again, like an icebreaker event, find somebody you've never met, go run a lap with them, which takes about 20 to 30 minutes, and listen to their story, listen what they're out there for, why are you here, and tell them about yourself.
So how much have you raised in the past, and what's your goal this year? So
we started out that first year, we raised, I think, a little over $30,000, and it was just thrown together like 2 weeks before. Real kind of humble beginnings. We didn't have porta-johns, we didn't have anything out there, and it's kind of grown every year so far. And last year, so in the past 5 years, we've raised a little over $500,000. Last year, we had our best year ever, which was right around $200,000, and our goal this year is $250,000. That's amazing.
And I think in addition to the fact that this is obviously a very intense fitness event, it's also important the time of year you're doing it, right? Because for a lot of people battling addiction and being in recovery, this is a hard time of year. I mean, the holidays, because they may or may not have a relationship with their families, or they may have a strained relationship with their families. Talk a little bit about that, about why something like this around this time of year is a good reminder to us that people may be struggling.
Yeah, so this is meant to be a community event where anybody can come out, and we always say that humans are social animals. We're all better off if we're around other people all the time, helping each other, that kind of thing. So the holidays are always a time when a lot of people are out drinking. There's, for someone in recovery, the holidays can be kind of a bad time of year of reminders or awkward social situations. So this is just a great event to come out around Christmas. There's usually not a whole lot, going on race-wise, so it's an opportunity for runners to come out, people to get out of the house, get away from all that materialistic Christmas stuff and just come out and have a good time in the cemetery and tell someone your story.
So I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do 24 hours. I'm not quite as fit as you are, Jon, but I'm going to try 24 miles. You think that's doable?
I agree. That's fantastic. It's definitely doable.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for filling us in. And anybody who wants to find out more should just go to the Healing Transitions website or just Google Oakwood 24, correct?
Yeah, Google Oakwood 24 Healing Transitions, and there's an event webpage where you can find ways to donate, to get involved. You can sign up to run officially if you want to. There's multiple options on there to get involved with Oakwood 24.
And it is December 22nd and 23rd.
Correct. It starts at 9 a.m. on Friday and it goes till 9 a.m. on Saturday the 23rd.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jon. Really appreciate your time. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. This has been a production of WRAL News. Please check out my new true crime serial murder podcast from WRAL Studios, The Killing Month, August 1978. You can binge all 8 episodes now, wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download.